Good afternoon to all of you, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, colleagues. It is my honor to help moderate this pivotal discussion, as the title says, on the blueprint, the Cityverse blueprint. How do we craft digital governance for the next digital era? And as you heard in the earlier presentation and the comments from His Excellency, the Cityverse is no longer a vision of the future. It is upon us. And I think it's on us to collectively make that real and make it a community effort. So to drive that conversation, I'm very honored to be joined by a distinguished panel of global leaders who will bring their invaluable insights from government, technology, and urban development to this conversation today. And you heard a brief introduction, but one of the things I'd like to mention is these esteemed panelists that are sitting with us today are not only experts in the relative fields, but they also serve as vice chairs or in other leadership positions for the global initiative we mentioned that was launched a couple of days ago, the Global Initiative on Virtual Worlds and AI, Discovering the Cityverse. So it's my pleasure again to introduce His Excellency Mr. Jerry William Silaa, Minister of Information, Communication and Technology from Tanzania. Please welcome. Dr. Hyoung Kim, Chair of the ITU Study Group on IoT, Digital Twins, and Smart Sustainable Cities and Communities. Welcome. Mr. Ernesto Faubel, the Chair of the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium on Local Digital Twins. Welcome to you. And last but not least, Mr. Jouni Markkanen, who is the Deputy Mayor of Tampere in Finland. Welcome to all of you. So let's begin. Let's start with you, Minister. Minister Silaa, considering Tanzania's development priorities, I'd like to understand how do you envision leveraging AI and virtual worlds can accelerate the digital transformation, improve public service delivery, and foster economic inclusion, both in urban and rural communities. We'd like to hear your insights, please.
First of all, I'd like to appreciate the initiative done in the summit, which will be called here in Dubai. Our government under Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan is embarking in a massive economic development. We're having a huge investment in terms of infrastructure, in terms of revamping the airline, the national airline flag carrier, in terms of tourism, healthy education, and all sectors in the country. But also, Her Excellency has launched a 10 years digital economy strategy, which is being steered by my ministry. And while my ministry does a cross-cutting, enabling job to other ministries on the economic development, when you now look at AI in visual world, it now comes as an accelerator to where we are going. And with the current situation, AI is cross-cut in all aspects. Mentioning the few, on automation, you find a lot of industries and businesses which have automated and use AI to plan, to design, and to execute their operations. In terms of data analysis, in terms of service delivery, customer experience, where AI will work in the existing data, and as the presentation has been done here, to predict and to calculate and to remodel the way the customer experience can be done through all these sectors. Now, mixing the artificial intelligence and using it and visual world to the economic development now comes as accelerator, as I've said before, in terms of all sectors. In my country, agriculture employs a lot. Now, using AI is quite a good tool to predict the productivity, to predict the increase of productivity in the agricultural sector, the kind of fertilizers, the soil, the climate, in order to make sure the agriculture sector keeps employing massive population but becoming more productivity. In terms of education, in terms of healthy, you find now how AI can impact the expertise of doctors and the capacity in the urban areas. Also, these doctors can also be used to provide healthy services in the rural areas, but also on visual worlds, as you're seeing in education, as the presentation has been done, students who were studying in rural areas which could not afford to get practical education or to find some subjects on only word presentation in books can now use visual worlds to come to a virtual reality and to come to the physical and good experience on the places and things they can learn, which now can bridge the gap between the urban and rural sectors to provide better service delivery, and all this together can result in the country's economic development.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's very insightful, and it's great to hear that end-to-end vision.
Yes.
How it's tied to the 10-year strategy you mentioned for the country, and how your leadership can see the vision of how using AI effectively and virtual worlds effectively can, as you said, accelerate the development across all sectors. So that's a great vision, and clearly, from what I'm hearing from you, using the virtual worlds effectively can truly help the country achieve those goals and achieve success in the 10-year roadmap that you outlined. So thank you for those insights. Really appreciate it. Moving on, Dr. Kim, if I can come to you next. In a rapidly evolving digital landscape, how do you think governments, industry, and IOs, international organizations, can work together to develop and accelerate the adoption of international standards for virtual worlds and the metaverse?
Okay, thank you for the question. And first of all, I'm very glad to be here with all of you. And before I respond, I would like to mention that due to the very short the session time today, I have prepared in advance what I want to say to ensure I don't miss any important points within this very limited time. So I do appreciate your kind understanding. So in a rapidly evolving digital landscape, effective collaboration among governments, industry sectors, and international organizations is quite essential to develop and accelerate the adoption of international standards on virtual world and the cityverse. A key platform facilitating this collaboration is ITUT Study Group 20, which bring together over 200 experts from various sectors to ensure that the standards we develop are quite robust and technically sound and aligned with the needs of all stakeholders. So through its multi-stakeholder approach, ITUT Study Group 20 actively engage governments and industry leaders and academia to identify emerging trends and challenges, thereby creating a comprehensive framework that support interoperability and security and innovation in virtual environments. So this kind of collaboration effort streamlines the standardization process, reduce the barriers to entry for innovators, and ensure that the new technologies are developed in a universally applicable and sustainable manner. So furthermore, the work of ITUT Study Group 20 complements the global initiative on virtual world and AI, which was presented earlier by Krishna and Okan. Together, this initiative drives technical advancements while building trust among users and stakeholders, a critical factor for the long-term success of the syllabus and other AI-powered virtual world endeavors. So ultimately, by combining those efforts, we can foster a dynamic ecosystem that not only accelerates the adoption of international standards, but also empowers the cities, governments, and industry to contribute to more connected and innovative the digital future. So this is the little reply from my side. Over to you.
Thank you so much for those insights. I'm glad you called out the work already being done by ITU and the Group 20 and all the experts that you mentioned coming from governments, international organizations, and industry. So there's a lot of thought leadership, and I hope with this initiative we turn that into action. Sure. So that's the promise of this new initiative that we've launched. But thank you for that. Moving on, Mr. Faubel, over to you. Given that Valencia has a significant tourist sector, and I speak from experience because I have traveled multiple times to Valencia, how can virtual worlds be integrated to both enhance visitor engagement and also to create new economic opportunities for the local businesses?
Thank you for your question. First, let me say that I'm extremely honored to be here sharing this session with so distinguished panelists and representing, on the one hand, the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium for Local Digital Twins and the Cityverse, and on the other hand, the city of Valencia, that, as you have mentioned, tourism is one of the main sectors for the economy of our city. So we have identified some sectors, some fields in which we could apply this Cityverse, and obviously tourism is on the top of the list, with urban planning, with aspects such as participation, but with regards to tourism, it's one of the main things. Trying to improve the experience of the people that are visiting our city. And with this, I would like to give a kind of context information about what's happening in Spain, in my country, related to tourism and technology, because we are developing at country level a platform, a smart destination platform, in which cities are participating. On the one hand, the government, central government, and the agency that is developing these common modules of this initiative, and cities are contributing with some specific modules, working, and this is very important for me, together in synergies with other cities, because together we can achieve more, obviously. And then this creating an ecosystem of technology and tourism that is converging, both aspects, and it creates strengths from our side to do this. Some aspects such as data spaces and things that are on the table could be very important for that. And Cityverse is another thing. And trying to connect all the dots is one of the things that we could do from our perspective with the participation in these initiatives. So Cityverse is a very good opportunity for us, as I have mentioned before, trying to improve the experience of tourists and trying to make it easier also for citizens, because in some cities, as you may know, there's happening a kind of phenomenon of tourismophobia, because of in some cities we are too many tourists, or people, there could be people that could think that there are too many tourists, but if we manage this correctly, and Cityverse could play a very important role, probably we will success in that.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And I love how you're saying this will help both the tourists and all the local citizens who have touristophobia. That's something I'll take away. So there's something in it for everybody. Thank you. And that's the right kind of envisioning we need to do here. So much appreciated. And over to you, Jouni. I know we've spoken in the past, so I know Tampere is a pioneer in integrating the concept of Cityverse into all of your digital transformation agendas at the city level. So based on your experience, how do you think cities can leverage the Cityverse and virtual worlds? And how can they use it to enhance decision-making and improve their urban resilience?
Yes, thank you for the question. And I have to start from the thing that we are living many paradigm shifts. And one is that decision-making, we can go to predict and make proactive actions already now in many cases. And in the future, like in all the cases, we should go towards that. And Tampere is doing strategic work to really utilize digitization in all the fields. And I give a few examples which we use in decision making, but which are also examples of using Cityverse as a tool. For example, for urban resilience, we have this situational awareness platform for events, so that when event is happening, there are AI systems which can see if there is something extraordinary happening somewhere. And when we have the data, we can check if there is something which needs intervention. The other example is that we have IoT platform which collects all the IoT data from the city, and we have built, for example, one AI model on top of that, which can predict 1 month before on 95% accuracy how many people are there. So that is a great tool, for example, companies to plan how many workers they need, what to order for the restaurants. But also we are trying to build on top of that this algorithm which can predict possible problems, because we are combining that data with police, so that in the future we should have a prediction model where we can really put resources to the right places. And a special thing here is that it's GDPR proof, so we can scale it everywhere, because European Union, we are good in legislation, and because we have to do it in that way, it's almost for certain that you can use it anywhere. Of course, you have to localize it, but still. But then the scaling solutions, they come from collaboration, and it's so nice to be here with you all, because we have to find the connections, find the ways to really collaborate and share solutions in the future, because that is the only way we can take the action efficiently. Digitization and the solutions we can do in a digital way, they are cheap and easy to copy if we just allow ourselves to do that. So collaboration, that is the number one thing, to really utilize digitization and also use it for urban resilience.
Thank you so much. I think it's inspiring to see what has been achieved by the city. Personally, I feel it's very impressive, all the different use cases you can articulate of things that are live today, using IoT, using AI, and also I love the fact that when you said around prediction and policing, it is GDPR compliant. So you have taken your citizens into consideration to make sure their privacy is respected. And I think these are kind of insights which, if we were to offer this to other parts of the world, they can apply their own regulatory frameworks, their own legislation, but they know it can be achieved. That fine balance of making sure that you are empowering your police force while also respecting your citizens' rights and adhering to the EU-wide regulations. So congratulations on that. So moving on, now I have a question, and we'll try and make it interesting. So I'll ask the colleagues there you go. So that's the question. And while I go through each panel member and frame this question and ask them for their opinion, I also welcome the audience. If you have a smartphone, which I think we all do, you can scan that QR code and share your answers with us. And at the end, after you've heard from each of the distinguished panel members, we'll see what your collective ideas say, because we want this to be a collaboration. So there you go. So you can scan the QR code, and the question that's written up there, I'll ask of the panel members to please, starting from here, Your Excellency, to say what is the one action that governments, cities, industry leaders, and policymakers should take to ensure accessible, inclusive, AI-driven virtual worlds. So it's a big ask. Think about it. We welcome ideas, suggestions. Please, over to you.
I think the biggest thing is to get out of the comfort zone and be ready for the new technological advancement, because most governments works in the traditional way. So I think the biggest thing we should all be ready for is to get out of the comfort zone and to be able to do any amendments in terms of the legal framework of the government or a country or a city, and move forward through the emerging technologies. In what way? As you may be aware, that as we are forming this initiative, governments should be ready to work together, to formulate policies which will cut across, to formulate standards which will cut across. We could expect all AI standards and policies to be in such a way that they can accommodate all players in the field, rather than each country to do its own initiative and later to get a hardship of working together. That's one. But also, since now the AI and virtual worlds has brought a new dimension to a lot of things, we should be able to change. Should be able to change, because if we can find most governments, they hesitate even using some cloud technologies, some cloud processing, playing safe in terms of security, but the world has moved so fast. So I think the one thing that the government and cities should do is be ready to change, get out of comfort zone, and be ready to work together with other players. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very insightful. And with that point of view from a government, let's move on. Dr. Kim, over to you. What do you think?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, if there is one decisive action that government, city, industry leaders, and policymakers must take immediately, it is to actively engage in collaborative the governance framework to shape the future of AI-driven the virtual world in an inclusive and accessible way. So, and the best place to do is within the global initiative on virtual world and AI and discovering the syllabus. So we are at the very critical moment where virtual worlds are quite rapidly evolving, But without a coordinated global approach, we risk creating quite a fragmented digital ecosystem so that exclude the certain countries, certain industries or the communities from fully participating. So instead of allowing those worlds to be dominated by a few major players, we must ensure that their development is guided by a principle of openness, the fairness and inclusivity. So this is the precise why the global initiative on virtual world and AI discovering the syllabus exists. So it is a multi-stakeholder platform where government and the cities, the private sector leaders and international organizations can work together to develop the shared governance model, technical framework, and policy recommendations that ensure AI-driven immersive environment accessible and beneficial to all. So I strongly encourage all of you, whether you are from government, industry, and civil society to academia, to actively participate in this new initiative. Your expertise and your insights and contributions are quite needed to ensure that the virtual world empower people rather than exclude them and create opportunity rather than deepen inequalities and enhance governance rather than disrupt it. So the time is to act. Is now, I believe, and let's not wait for AI-driven the virtual world to be shaped without our input. So let's take the lead and ensure that they are built for the benefit of all. So to conclude, I would like to kindly encourage you all to join this initiative so that we can develop an interoperable solution or framework for the global virtual world. So that's my response. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. That's very, very insightful. And I think as a fellow UN colleague, UN system colleague, I should say, I think you touch upon some of those key points, which is very important in all the work we try and do, is openness, fairness. So thank you for highlighting those points. Ernesto, over to you.
Yeah, well, taking advantage of the inspiring words that His Excellency has shared in the opening, people in the center. Because we have been sometimes using technology for using technology, but now we have to focus on the citizens, because Cityverse is not only for cities, it's more for citizens. So when we have to focus our policies in improving the quality of life of our citizens. And regarding accessibility, we are carrying out some projects that are thinking especially in those who have less opportunities, and Cityverse could play a very important role on that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that input. And again, Jouni, over to you. What are your thoughts on this question?
This is like one thing, but there are different parts. Collaboration, I ended last page for that. And what it means, His Excellency Mr. Mansouri told about human centricity. That should be the base. And then what we need is the global binding decision-making structures. And fortunately, that is one goal of our initiative as well. That is something we really need.
Great, thank you so much. Crisp but very clear, global decision making. If I can ask the colleagues who are monitoring this to see what kind of responses did we get from others. Hopefully you can see it on the screen in front of you. Without my glasses, I'll try and squint and see some of the responses. I'll turn around, maybe it's easier to read that way. But there you go. So you can see there's some themes that emerge, and it's interesting to see you have some real thought leaders here who brought brilliant ideas to the table, but we see 10 additional comments coming through focusing on digital literacy, which is so true. If to take His Excellency's point of view, to say let's build it for the people-centric, it's important people know how to use it. So thank you to the audience for highlighting that we need to invest in skills for all the communities, so they can truly equally participate in this new vision that we are discussing here. I see 8 points each focusing on public-private partnerships. Thank you for all of you who suggested that, because that is so key. I think that's the reason why we're all sitting here, is it has to be a broad partnership. It starts from here with the foundations set by Digital Dubai, ITU, UNICC, and all the colleagues you see here representing other organizations. But this consortium has to become much bigger. It has to be a public-private partnership. So I'm glad that's being called out. And we heard this again and again as a theme is co-design. Work with the community. If you're building for the people, work with the people. Design for them. So engage and get diverse voices. So no surprises, but nothing, something that we shouldn't forget. So I'm pleased that that's been called out. Thank you again to all of you who've suggested that. And not to forget, there are 2 more, 5, which is about regulations, inclusive regulations. So we need to set policies for that ensure accessibility and equity. Nobody should be left behind. I think as a technologist, I'm the first to admit sometimes technology is rushed out the door, and then you realize certain parts of the population cannot access it, cannot use it. So given how immersive Cityverse technologies could be, given how impactful they should be, I think it's very important we keep this in mind. So a great call out there from the audience. And the last one is transparency. Absolutely. Because to me, AI is the engine that powers the Cityverse. So to have trust so people can come and communities can safely come and use it, there needs to be visibility and transparency so people know that the AI that's powering this it's clear to them where it comes from and ensure that it follows ethical AI practices. Like the example you gave about the GDPR policies being followed. People need to know. Only then can they trust and use the solutions that are being deployed. So thank you for all your feedback. We'll take all of this into account. And I've been asked to also conclude the conversation here. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you to the distinguished panel members. Genuinely appreciate your insights and input. And I look forward to continuing to collaborate with all of you on this initiative going forward. But if I can give you closing remarks, it's very hard to, given all the deep insights you've heard and the excellent presentation from Dr. Okan and Christina. I can only start with what His Excellency started us out with, to make it people-centric, to put people in the center. And I loved one of the comments you made is to say, use data to provide dignity. You said you use code for collaboration. And I think that's the mindset we need to have. It's so easy to generate code. It's so easy to build this. But how do you build it collectively? That is the real challenge we have. And I think we are establishing a great consortium here, with collaboration at the center, with people at the center. Let's have dignity at the center of all of this. And I think we can achieve great things. I'm very pleased you all saw the announcement of the first competition. We need academia. We need youth with their brilliant ideas to contribute and share their thinking. So it should not be us, people a certain age, sitting in different international organizations, governments, also the fresh ideas that come from the youth. That will stimulate our thinking and make sure what we're doing is fit for the greater world. So thank you, and we look forward to a great collaboration and great results in the coming years. Thank you so much.